Yeah, they are.
All right. Well, getting back to what I was going to talk about here before Dean called and lamented about the shame he's experiencing with his country's leader.
Okay.
This has been a point of discussion for a long time, and this is something that I think Sebastian Bach obviously has been pushing for many, 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 many years.
Sure.
During an appearance on Eddie Trunk.
Yeah.
On Sirius XM radio show, The Trunk Nation, earlier this week, Sebastian Bach was asked if there have been any updates on his long-rumored reunion with other members of the classic lineup of Skid Row.
Okay.
His response? All I can say is that my manager, Rick Sales, he's being managed by Rick Sales?
Well, he likes spending that money, I guess.
Is talking to Skid Row's early manager, Doc McGee.
Doc McGee managed Skid Row.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
That's all I can say.
Yeah. You know how those talks go? Hey, can we get back? No. Okay, thanks for calling.
No, Rick and Doc are like, I'll meet you down there at the, I'll meet you down at the Seventh Veil at about 9. Okay.
All right, see ya.
Oh,
Right
by
here.
the way, this is on the house because I just got my management fee from Bach. He's been out there busting his ass on solo shows. Just got my management fee, so I'm gonna blow it on blow and hookers and blow.
Exactly. Doc, how much do you make off of Skid Row? Oh, I make 20%. How much do you make, Rick? Oh, I only make 15% from Sebastian. All right, Doc, you're buying. Talk over.
Right. You know, if we could collaborate, we could get 25%.
What?
But that would require Sebastian to get back with the other guys. I know. It's a pipe dream, but I know.
Yeah, we're not doing that. But thanks for calling.
Sure.
I'm going to tell my client that we talked, okay? And then he's going to do press about it and get people all fooled into thinking that there might be a real reunion coming soon.
Sure.
Didn't Rachel, like, last week say no chance?
Well, I think Snake actually said that.
One of them did.
Yeah.
And early they announced that they're recording with the Dragon Force guy.
Right.
Which, did you happen to listen to any of those YouTubes from last weekend?
I did.
Boy, that's not very good.
Well, you know, I have no feeling about Skid Row one way or the other. Mm-hmm. But knowing Tony Harnell the way that we have and how cool he's been to us
sure
over the last few years, and you know, whatever happened between them,
yeah,
nah, I'm not such a fan anymore.
Really?
Yeah, just like you know what, these guys just need to either they got to reunite with Sebastian, mm-hmm. or just call it a day.
What? They got to keep going, dude, with the TP Tharp or whatever.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No, you don't think that's good?
It's just been so watered down now with Solinger and then Tony and now this new guy. It's just like at this point it's just a tribute band.
Yeah.
So to bring any legitimacy to the Skid Row legacy, They need to get Sebastian Bach back. I mean, look what happened with Metal Church, okay?
Right.
You know, they had David Wayne. Of course, he's no longer with us.
Right.
Then they had Mike Howe, and they had some success with him because he was very similar to David Wayne,
right,
in his vocal style, but he left 20 years ago.
Right.
Then they went on hiatus for a long time, and then they had our good friend Ronnie Monroe on as lead vocal. They didn't really have a lot of success, but it allowed them to, you know, become part of some touring packages. And they put out one great album with Ronnie. And this is no slam on Ronnie or Metal Church, because you know how big of a Metal Church fan I am. But Light in the Dark was just a phenomenal release.
Right.
Weight of the World, not so much. This Present Wasteland, not so much. But now they go back with the guy that they had a lot of good success with, Mike Howe. Yeah. And they're out there touring, and their record is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So for Skid Row as an entity, if they're going to continue on with any credibility, in my opinion, their only real shot at being a legitimate force to be, dealt with, they need to reunite with Sebastian Bach.
I think you might be forgetting the obvious, Bobby Blotzer's Rat.
Yeah, I'm sure.
There's the blueprint.
So that's just my opinion.
It's not. I think that whatever happened between those guys is way too deep. If they haven't reunited by now, do you think they will?
Well, at this point, what kind of money is Skid Row commanding without Sebastian Bach, and what kind of money are they commanding with a Sebastian Bach? And would it make it worthwhile? Because this really boils down to money.
I mean, do you think that they headline?
No, I don't think so. That's kind of my point. It's just it's the Dokken argument.
Yeah,
it's just like Don as the sole owner of the Dokken entity, touring with John Levin, Chris McCarville, and of course Mick Brown, and paying them as hired guns. He's making as much money personally as he would with the original Dokken lineup.
Sure.
So financially, it makes no sense for him to do this.
Right, and it makes less sense when you add in the aggravation of dealing with George.
That's kind of where I'm going with this. Financially, it doesn't make any sense for Don to do this because he owns the Dokken entity 100%. Yeah. So to put up with the aggravation of the Georges and whatever else comes up, it's not worth it for him. So he's better off not doing a Dokken reunion or lineup all the time. Right. So for Skid Row, is it worth putting up with the bullshit that Bach will bring to the table? And believe me, Bach is not an easy guy to deal with. He's not an easy guy to deal with. So the other guys go, hey, we can go out on the weekend and we can do 2 or 3 shows, Thursday through Sunday or whatever, and we can make, I don't know what is a Skid Row commanding today?
I can't imagine it's a lot.
Is it $7,000?
I can't even imagine that it's that at this point.
$5,000?
Maybe 5.
Okay, so what is a Skid Row worth with a Sebastian Bach on board?
See, dude, it's just hard to tell because that show that I went to with Solinger, that was already 2 singers ago. But that Solinger show, I mean, dude, there was 20 people there. I can't imagine what promoter is booking them.
Well, that's kind of where I'm going with this. So does it make any sense for a Skid Row to reunite with a Sebastian Bach and put up with the nonsense? I mean, are they gonna raise their profile so high that it's worth the extra aggravation to get that extra money, or are they going to make about the same? Or
I can't fathom. Like I can't fathom that they could do 2,000 people a night reunited. I can't fathom that. And this is from somebody that loves Skid Row.
Of course.
I love that. Of the hair bands, that's probably my favorite. Of the bands.
Legitimately, how many albums does Skid Row have that are worthy? 2?
Yeah.
The self-titled Enslaved to the Grind?
Yeah. For fans, yes. For me, it would be...
No, popularity-wise. Where people would recognize the songs and go, oh, shit. Skid Row's coming to town. I'm going to go see them.
Yeah, that'd be the first 2.
Yeah, of course.
That's it.
So what kind of money does a Skid Row command with a Sebastian Bach on board?
10,000?
10 grand.
Maybe.
So there's 5 guys in a band, and then you got to take your expenses out. So each guy gets what a night?
1,500.
$1,500 a night after expenses and management fees and travel expenses and all that.
And so they tour all year for 100 grand.
Yeah. So what does a Sebastian Bach solo command?
Probably 10 grand.
Okay, so he gets to take the lion's share of the money because he is Sebastian Bach after expenses and paying his hired guns and some, whatever. So Sebastian takes 5 grand a night personally.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any financial sense.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I liked Skid Row. I mean, I really liked Skid Row. I love Slave to the Grind, and I love the what's the one with Fireside and My Enemy and those songs.
It's from the Subhuman Race.
Subhuman Race. Couldn't think of the name. Yeah, I love those 2 albums.
Okay,
I listen to both of them today. Actually, those are great records. Not a big fan of the first one personally, but dude, I saw them at the height of their popularity. When they were as big as they ever were, I saw them at Rhodes Arena with Pantera opening for them.
Well, I saw them on their first record opening for Aerosmith.
Yeah. I mean, at their pinnacle, they had to have another huge band to sell a 3,000 seater. At their top. That was on Slave to the Grind. Slave to the Grind was out and it was huge, and Monkey Business was the big hit, and Pantera had to go with them to sell 3,000 seats at Rhodes Arena.
I was at that show.
Yeah, so, but if that, what are they going to do? Is the reunion going to do more than that? I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So, again, this is kind of like making financial sense out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the nostalgic aspect of it, financially, It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, no, I think it's just over for Skid Row. I mean, I saw Solinger a few times, and it always just was a swing and a miss.
Sure,
it was close. It was close. It was like a good foul ball, but it wasn't quite there. And I've seen Sebastian once or twice, and I don't know, he's hit or miss too. I've seen him be really, really good, and I've seen him be really, really shitty.
I agree.
And from what I've heard, and I have not seen him in a while, I mean, if he came to Cleveland now, I wouldn't go. If he played the Roxino, 50-50, I'd go. I would not advance buy tickets, I'll put it that way. And Skid Row, I would not go. After seeing them suck for 20 people and walking out, and that's it.
Well, see, you're making my point.
Yeah, I know.
That in order for Skid Row to regain any viability or credibility at this point after 3 singer changes in a very short period of time, the only saving grace they have to save their, use a term, career, and make them viable again is if they did reunite. And again, I don't even know what that's worth.
Yeah, they would have to go away for a while first, I think.
So what is that worth? And then if they say they did come back and they brought Rob Affuso back on drums,
okay,
along with Sebastian, and it was the classic 80s lineup of Skid Row.
Right.
The only place that they could showcase is to be a co-headliner for a big arena act.
They'd have to
like a Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, they'd have to open for, it wouldn't be a co-headline. They'd have to open
but they would have to get a big opening slot on a big tour to make it worthwhile.
They would have to open for Guns N' Roses to get that whole nostalgia, doing it again one more time tour.
Exactly.
That's the only way that would work even a little. And to be honest, I can't imagine that Axl's willing to give up that kind of money for his opening band. Why would he do that?
Well, I guess it depends on, does it come out of the GNR purse, or does the promoter need to agree to pay that extra money?
I think that it comes out of the GNR purse, or it comes out of what the promoter's going to offer for the show. That's why on those last round of shows, they had different guys for different bands for different nights, because it was all worked out by the promoter.
Okay.
To make sure that, they could get a quality opener after they knew how much they had to pay Guns N' Roses.
Sure.
That's why it wasn't like a package tour of Guns N' Roses and Foo Fighters or Alice in Chains or whatever. That's why you had one night it was Alice in Chains. The next night it was the, whatever band, that Elephant band, whatever that band is called now. Do you know that band?
No, not at all.
They opened for Metallica, and I think they opened one of the Guns N' Roses shows too. Something like Elephants Might Cry or something.
I have no idea.
Some fucking lousy name, but they're actually good.
Okay.
So good that I can't remember the name. So what does that tell you? But I think that Guns N' Roses has a number, whatever that number is, and I don't think that changes. No matter who the opening band is. What I think though is it affects what the promoter's going to do. If the Guns N' Roses number is like one, Cage the Elephant, thank you in the chat room, John Bate. The promoter is going to pay Guns N' Roses $1.5 million, $2 million, whatever their number is.
Okay.
Okay. So now the promoter has to figure out, I've got 20,000 seats or 40,000 seats at $75 to $100 a ticket. Where's my profit margin?
Sure.
If there's enough to throw another 30,000, I'll throw a band that will guarantee me 10,000 seats that would sell 10,000 everywhere else. And that ain't going to be Skid Row. There's no way. I think every promoter would rather have the currently working Alice in Chains that is still good for a mid-sized room over a reunited Skid Row.
Well, again, that you're kind of making my point here.
Sure.
That financially, there's really no viability in a Skid Row reunion.
No. I mean, I think these guys look to like Dokken, and they're like, well, fuck, if those guys could get $1 million, why can't we? That Dokken loved on. No, I'm not saying this with malice. I'm just saying it because it's fact. Don figured out a way to completely fuck the system with his deal. He just did, because none of these bands are worth the money that Dokken got for 1 week's work. None of them. Maybe Guns N' Roses, but of the, what I'll call the second tier guys, the guys that didn't become the next Rolling Stones, none. There's no way. There's no way the Scorpions would be worth $1.5 million for a week's worth of work. There's no way Dokken's worth $1.5 million for a week's worth of work. There's no way any of those level bands, Poison or Motley or any of those bands. I don't think Motley gets that kind of money. Do they? Or did they?
I have no idea.
If they did, it would be right at that level. $200,000 a night. Wouldn't it? Motley wasn't making $1 million a night, were they?
No, of course not. They were probably making a quarter.
So $250.
Yeah, but I see, and I'm going to use a classic rock band.
Uh-huh.
Here's a classic rock band with a name, but with only one original member that I know for a fact they were getting $250,000 a night.
Who's that?
Lynyrd Skynyrd. So
Yeah,
I think a Motley could potentially command $250,000 a night.
Yeah, okay. But Motley, you see what I'm saying, though, right? Dokken is not Motley Crue.
I agree.
Success-wise.
Sure.
So for them to get $1.2 million for a week was insane.
I agree.
And I'm not saying it in a bad way. Like, I can't believe those guys fucked everybody over with that.
No, the promoter offered it.
Promoter offered it. God knows why. I'm just going to be willing to bet that the promoter was such a big Dokken fan, and he had money to burn, and he made that happen more as a personal thing than this is the only way I can make this go.
I would probably agree with that.
I cannot fathom that the promoter for the Dokken thing was like, this seems like a good viable business option here. I'm going to pay this band that I could get $20,000 a night, pay them $100,000 for 5 dates, but not have the original guys. Well, you know what? I'm going to pay those guys 12 times that and have them come over here for a week. I can't fathom that was the thought. And that's the whole thing with the Skid Row. I am working somewhere with this. Skid Row, they may see that, and that's why they would get into conversations, but there's no promoter that's going to do that. There's no promoter that's looking for Slaughter for $500,000.
Sure.
Or Skid Row for $500,000, or Great White for $500,000, or any of these bands. And that's not to slam any of them. That's just saying how it is.
That's just dollars and cents.
Yeah, the Dokken thing was a miracle.
It was an anomaly.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen again. Especially because I don't think that guy did all that well with those shows. I know they sold out, but
I couldn't tell you. I have no idea.
I know they sold out, but I can't imagine that they did anything more than Bones numbers. It just didn't, from everything I saw, it didn't look like they did like crazy business or anything. It's not like Dokken all of a sudden jumped back on the charts with 3 other albums or something.
No, but Japan has always been a very big market for Dokken. But who else does really well in Japan?
Mr. Big.
Well, Mr. Big, as well as Firehouse.
Yeah.
Firehouse is huge over there, but Firehouse couldn't sell a 200-seat room here.
Right. Well, my thing is, if there was so much interest, then, especially with the way sales go these days, then there would be at least an uptick. You'd see a when whatchamacallit, Guns N' Roses first put their reunion back together, the Appetite for Destruction hit the chart for a couple of weeks. When they first announced it, it not high, but it was like number 150 or whatever.
Sure.
You didn't see that with Dokken. You wouldn't see that with Skid Row. You wouldn't see that with Firehouse. You're just not going to see it. There's just not as much interest out there. And Skid Row, a band that has just gone to shit, and where these guys have just beaten the shit out of each other for how many years now? Nobody wants to see that.
I agree.
It's just a waste.
I agree. Well, anyway, to continue the article here, according to Sebastian Bach, he said his management was talking to Skid Row's management. That's all I can say. That is what is happening, and I don't have anything else to tell you. All I can tell you is we're not getting any younger, folks. Let's put the hair band back together while we have hair.
Yeah. You know what Rachel said back to that comment?
What did he say?
Fuck you, pal.
Exactly. Skid Row has played a number of shows in recent months with the South African-born British-based singer ZP Thart. T-Hart? Is it T-Hart?
Whatever.
How do you say it? It's ZP. Is it Thart or T-Hart?
I'm thinking it's Thart, but I don't know. It's he was in Dragon Force, so I didn't care, and now he's in Skid Row, so I still don't care.
All right, but he has not been officially named as the band's new frontman. Thart stepped into the group following the departure of Tony Harnell of TNT, and blah blah blah, and the replacement for singer Johnny Solinger, the band's singer for 15 years.
Yeah. Tony has a new TNT record coming out.
Yeah.
He says it's the best ever.
Okay. Despite the fact that fans have been clamoring for a reunion of Skid Row's most popular lineup for nearly 20 years, guitarist Dave Snake Sabo told the Aquarian Weekly.
Wow, just getting all the big interviews.
That's a big publication. A few months ago that the band had no intention of reconnecting with Bach. Happiness, to me, is my spirit and my soul, and it's more important to me than having dollars in my wallet. Again, we don't know where the dollars would come from, but okay.
Right.
People may not believe that, but that's okay. Anybody who knows me knows that the years with why don't you do a reunion tour and who knows what, I understand that the question, and I got it. I really do. And if we're on the outside, I'd be asking the same thing, but no one feels comfortable with that idea.
Yeah, so they're not going to do it. Sebastian can say it all he wants. They're not going to do it. Do you think they're going to end up doing it?
Well, the thing is the only person that I see beating that drum is Sebastian.
Yeah.
He's the only guy. I never hear Snake or any of the other guys say, you know what would be great is somewhere down the road we would like to do a reunion show. None of them have said that. The only one that I've heard for the last 15 years is, well, we should get together with the guys, those guys can bring any singer in they want, but it'll never be the same. And I want to be a part of that. And it's the only person saying that is Sebastian.
Yeah, even Rob doesn't say it, and he's not in anything.
Yeah. So you never hear that from anybody else, ever.
No, you really don't.
And the thing is from Sebastian's point of view, and again, I don't know his point of view, aside from the fact that he's been beating that drum about a reunion, what does he stand to gain from that?
Well, with Sebastian, it could be attention, because he seems to like the attention. He would get more attention, but I don't know. I think it's just a lot of hot air about nothing, really.
Sure, but as a credit to Sebastian, he's put out some pretty phenomenal records as a solo artist.
Yeah, I've liked for the most part, I've liked what he's done outside of Skid Row.
He's put together better material as a solo artist than Skid Row has put out as a band.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Skid Row really hasn't put out anything noteworthy.
No,
at all.
Okay, the EPs were about the best they've done.
but see, that's the thing. You said they're okay.
Yeah, they're okay. I mean, Thick Skin was, and
RPM
was trash.
Yep,
just straight up garbage. And I like the EPs personally, but they're not overly memorable. Sebastian, Angel Down was a great record. Angel Down was a fantastic record. Alive and Kickin' was a pretty good record.
Well, that's where I'm going with this, is that as a solo artist, Sebastian has done better work than his former band. So I don't understand what's in it for him, because if he commands, as you said, $8-10 grand a night as a solo artist, he's not going to take home $8 and $10 grand a night as a member of Skid Row.
No, I think it's too late with that band personally, but forget the money. Just from a musical standpoint, it's just too late. They've wrecked the reputation of the band, with all the bullshit bickering that's gone on and back and forth for all these years. And the only way they could do it would be if they followed the Dokken model and just said, hey, it's for fucking money. If they found somebody to write them a big check and they just said, yep, we're doing it for money. We still don't like each other, but we're doing it for the cash.
Sure.
Because any other way would just come off disingenuous. You know, it's not gonna sound good if they're doing fucking interviews and they're like, oh yeah, you know, we're really getting along. Fuck you. No, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't act like you're all buddies and you just like, well, you take that side of the stage and we'll take this side. Just kind of like what Vince Neil and Motley Crue did.
Exactly.
They made it work for over a decade that way.
Yeah, but they didn't like each other.
They didn't like each other. They traveled separately. They had separate dressing rooms. They stayed in separate hotels.
Mm-hmm.
But they could command the stage for 90 minutes together, and after the night was over, they could go their separate ways.
But they could do it, too, because they were Motley Crue, the single biggest band of that era. That's why they could do it. Because they command enough money to afford to do that. Skid Row is riding on the same bus. Sorry, they're going to have to.
And that was the thing that I saw last night, that both Queensryche and Armored Saint both had buses.
Right.
And, I know for a fact that the cost of a bus is about $1,000 a day.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, $1,000 a day. So, this thing is not happening.
And if it does, and that's a big if,
mm-hmm.
it would only be for the big festivals in Europe.
Right.
Because it would make no sense to do it here in the States unless they were opening for like a big opener like Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses or Kiss. That's about it.
That's about it. Anything else, doing club shows or doing theater acts, not worth it.
Yeah. Maybe M3.
Well, again, that's a package or a festival show.
Would they headline M3?
Boy.
Who's the headliner?
Well, I think Rat is one night, the reunited Rat.
Yeah, they wouldn't headline over the reunited Rat.
Because Rat had a lot of records, and Skid Row literally, for all intents and purposes, had 2.
Yeah. Yeah, they had 2 people care about. I don't think they had any hits off of Subhuman, did they?
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seems stupid to me.